let them join. Today's topic is delivering effective presentations. The delivering presentation is one of the most academic habits that you can see in universities. It is also the business related activities, because if you have a smart business plan, and if you want to attract the investors to your project, you have to deliver your content. You have to explain your business plan. That is why you should know how to deliver effective presentations. Today's topic is intended to give you a detailed explanation about how you can deliver effective presentations. So here's our objectives. The objectives is main lesson aims, purposes. So the first part of this objectives is presentation delivery, the principles of effective delivery. And the synonym of this delivery: conveying, giving information. you know so the principles of effective delivery. you know the principles of effective delivery. After you finish this presentation, we will talk about how what should you notice when you're presenting. For example, the quality of your presentation, and also the structure as well. And then the second one, understanding signposting language. And signposting language is one of the most important skills that you should know when you want to speak coherently and accurately during your presentation. And finally, we will finish our presentation with writing activities, and that can give you procedures and instructions. So the next, which factors do you think can make your or break a presentation? Here are some factors that can affect the presentation delivery. The first one is body language. You should know how to behave yourself appropriately in front of the audience. The body language can also convey meanings. And the second thing is visual aids. If your presentation contains visually rich images, uh, the audience may not find difficulty understanding your content, because the visual aids can uh, reduce the cognitive load that the audience should process and understand. Keep this in your mind. And then the fourth thing, you can see the knowledge of the subject. The If your presentation contains lots about the knowledge of the subject that you want to present, it is super important to notice that you should include the qualified content. you know for example, you plan the business plan for the target audience, and you should have to notice the content. And then the next thing, you can see the use of technical jargon. The technical the use of technical jargon may affect your presentation negatively. Why? Because uh, jargon, as you know, it is a straight language. It is a straight language. In the presentation, you should use academic language. The academic language. You should know how to say formally, and how to ask, or how to suggest something in a better and smooth way. Keep this in your mind. And the structure of your presentation have a certain role for your success, because if your structure incoherent and unclear, your presentation may fail to reach the desires of the audience. And then you have to notice also the links, if your presentation includes lots of lines, lots of graphs, lots of images without any nutshell, in a clear meaning, it means your presentation is some kind of boring. The audience uh, feel themselves like they are as if they are reading a book, you know, with the delivering presentation and also reading a book can differ each other mainly because delivering presentation it means you have to present and convey the clear natural meanings to the audience so that they can learn something in a better and coherent way. That is why you shouldn't make your presentation lengthy and also rambling. You shouldn't make that action. And let's talk about preparation. The preparation is also uh, super important when you want to achieve the successful presentation performance. So the preparation, it is a rehearsal repeating your content of the presentation. So the first thing for the presentation is analyze the audience. You have to analyze the audience. You have to now figure out um, their desires and also expectations from your presentation. And then you can see prepare content. You have to prepare content with respect and also responsibility. Your content should be qualified and it should be also rich, um, informative. It contains keywords. It should contain keywords and also the meaningful sentences. You have to you have to see your presentation with respect and responsibility. And then you can see in the third part plan the organization. Each slide of your presentation should be organized in a coherent way, in a constructive way. It means each presentation's content, each slide's content should be relevant to each other, so that you can so that the audience can see the smooth flow of your presentation content. And then you can see the visual aids. uh, you can attach the visual aids on your presentation. For example, on the right corner, you can see I inserted such a image. The audience is hiding their faces, and you can see the question sign, because the analyzing the audience, you have to analyze the audience, who they are and what they want. You have to know everything about your audience. Then you can see notes. Taking notes is one of the most academic habits in your study. If you know how to take notes and what part of this presentation should be note taken, um, you can remember something by looking at your notes. If you forget something important, you know, um, if you can take notes and take notes from your lecture at the culminational point, you can save the main information. And then the sixth one is The practice. The practice can make you better more than ever. If you can practice much more than you expect, you can reach your success even more. And in the finally, you can see the venue. Venue means the place of the presentation process. But in the venue, you should present your contents in front of the audience. You should know what your venue is like and what kind of technical support this venue can provide. And you should also figure out how you should behave during the presentation in this site. That is why the introducing this venue beforehand is also important. So then, as you can see here, let's look through these each 7 steps of preparation one by one. The first one is analyze the audience. So you have to recognize the audience, who they are, and what they want from your presentation. And you have to give these questions yourself. The first, what is their level of language and education? You have to know their level and education, because you should use the language that is understandable and also suitable for these target learners. If you use a complex, so academic language, they may find difficulty understanding you. And then the second one is, what do they already know about the topic? So, you know, if you if you encounter the ever repeated things again and again, you get boring, you get bored, and you get also disappointed about that actions. Repeating, it's not such kind of learning habit. So if you insert a new content that your target learners don't know, they may be attracted to your speech, because they are going to learn something new. And then you can see, and the third question is, what do they need or want to know? You have to notice that their expectations about learning. You have to identify what they need or want to know. And then on the fourth part, you can see uh, what presentation style can they best relate to. Your presentation style can also respond to the needs and desires of your target learners or target audience. For example, you've prepared a business plan for the marketing audience, and you have to notice this presentation style. It shouldn't contain lots of words. It should contain graphs and images, and make sure you should use as much as much as content, language, and the keywords as well. Make sure as possible as you can use such kind of words. And let's go to the next. So preparation content. Your preparation content for the presentation should follow these steps. The first step is decide the topic of your presentation. So you have to decide the content or the topic of your business plan. That is super important. And based on that, you have to limit the topic into specific elements to be covered. You have to divide that topic some into sub elements that is specific to your field. And then you can see third part, read and search, and then and learn about the topic. You have to add the innovative and new content to your presentation. And also you have to decide on main ideas to convey. So main ideas can provide the generalized concepts for your audience. And then finally, you can see share with colleagues. You have to share your content with your colleagues so that you can receive feedback from them in order to improve the quality and organization of your presentation. And it makes you reflect on your presentation. And here's a golden rule when you are preparing a presentation. The less the content, the better the results. It means you shouldn't include lengthy and word-rich sentences in your presentation. You have to just include keywords that can help you to explain something about your contents. That is why you shouldn't include the long texts and that contains every details about your topic. So you have to follow this rule. The less content, the better the result. As you can see here, just I included only the keywords. I didn't uh, I didn't include a long text that you can waste your time looking or reading or searching for some key information. I just included the uh, key key sentences and key words. That is it. So, and also preparation time. You can see the preparation plan. So make a written plan that includes all of the following elements. Your plan should be based on this model. The first part of this model is introduction, and then the second part is body, and then the third is conclusion. Make a time space for questions as well, because your audience may have questions while you're presenting. If you follow this order, your presentation will be good and match the needs of your audience. So and then next, you can see the plan. Let's consider each part of your preparation plan for presentation. As you can remember, the first part of your plan should be introduction, and your introduction can also include subsections. For example, the first one is a good opener. To get the audience attention, you should use a good opener. For example, you can show the photos that is interesting and also attractive, or you can just use a short story. When I was in this place and I encountered that and why you should do that, such kind of words you can use. And also, the second subsection of this introduction is an idea to motivate audience to listen. You have to grab the attention of your audience um, so that you can motivate them. Your sentences should be motivating and inspirational, because your audience should change their mind whenever they heard about your topic and the general information about the topic. You should include the general informations about the topic in your introduction section of your preparation. And then you can see the main points of the presentation. You should explain during this presentation what kind of main points your audience should notice. Make sure that you can explain them. And then you can see body. Body is the longest part of the presentation. That is why you should put the key content on this part. So it is organized according to the steps mentioned in the introduction. It means your body and the introduction should be coherent each other, and they should be related, interrelated each other. And no matter how interesting or important your content, too much text on one slide is not effective. As I mentioned before, the much lengthy textual presentation may fail. And the third part, you can see no more than 7 words per line. It is normal if you write no more than 7 words per line on your presentation. And also, you make sure you use no more than 7 lines per slide. And as you can see here, I use it 7 lines here for my presentation. And then you can see conclusion. In the conclusion, you have to bring the discussion to an end before time's up. So make sure you have time to conclude and generalize your presentation content. And also you have to restate the purposes. You have to remind the purposes of your presentation to the audience again. Then you should summarize the main points that is discussed in your presentation. And then finally, you should write your closer carefully. Make sure your closer is polite and also informative, that your audience gets attracted to you. Then you can see determine visual aids. Choosing a proper image for your presentation is also a key part of your presentation process. While selecting such kind of visual aids, you should notice the following rules. The proper size for the appropriate for size of room and audience. So the visual aids should be appropriate for size of room and audience. Okay. For example, as you can see here, I use it in this image because this image can be suitable for our presentation because you can see it on the left corner. And the second tip is is simple and easy to understand. Your presentation should be simple and easy to understand. Okay, it shouldn't include unrelated and incomprehensible content. So you should avoid excessive use of photos and unnecessary drawings. For example, in this slide, I only used one image. For example, this one. And this image can help me as much as possible. Because as you can see, the first tip, the appropriate size of the room and audience. This man is presenting his presentation to the audience, and as I'm doing right now, and his presentation is visible for the audience. They can see it. Means this uh, image can be relevant to to the first and other tips which we are looking through right now. And then you can see avoid too many graphs distract from your content. If your presentation includes lots of graphs, the audience may spend their time understanding your graphs without listening to you, without noticing your keywords. So, and finally, you can see choose one or two graphs that clearly illustrate your point. Make sure you've chosen one or two graphs that clearly illustrate your point. Then let's see the next presentation habit or procedure. It's note taking. If you take notes, you may remember something during the presentation. And here's six tips for note taking. First, prepare note cards for brief hints. Brief hints. It means you have to prepare your notes for just brief hints. And do not try memorize the speech. If you memorize your speech, you may fail to explain something or generate your ideas. As a typical example for this failure is the memorized IELTS examination answers. If you memorize your answer, you may uh, get lost during the presentation, and you failed to remember the memorized answer. And then the third one, you can see use PowerPoint presentation as a support, not the main focus. I see the majority of the students use their presentation as the main focus. It is not the main focus. It is just the support for your speech. By looking at the main contents of this presentation, you can continue or you can remember something. It is a support. It is not the main focus. Uh, don't have any eye attached to the presentation slides. You should also eye contact with your uh, eye contact with your audience. And also in the fifth step, you can see use a wireless mouse. So from real life and the experience, you can see the majority of the presenters use their wireless devices so that they can turn to the next slides and also refer specific slides. So especially in TED Talks, you can see the speakers use a special device so that they can present a specific part of their presentation. And then finally, you can see put minimal content on the slides. You have to you have to minimalize your content on your slides as much as possible, but you should also keep the meaning. And presentation practice. Your practice is also one of the key contents, one of the key actions if you want to be successful in your presentation. So your practice includes the following. So the first one is delivery steps, and then the second one is the used language, and then the third one is chosen tools, and finally it includes the timing. Here's also a golden rule for you. The more you practice, the better your performance becomes. Okay, because your actions get automatized. Whenever you do these actions, you can um, do this with ease and also comfortable in your venue. As I mentioned before, your venue can also affect your presentation process. In order to avoid the negative effects of your venue, you should notice these tips. The first one, attend the venue before the presentation time. You have to attend, you have to recognize and also familiarize with the conditions of your venue. Check that all the needed tools are available. During your presentation, if you can find something essential for your presentation from this venue, you may feel uncomfortable and you may make your audience uh, disappointed. And try the tools before your presentation. Uh, you also know how to use your tools appropriately um, during your presentation. That is why you should try the tool before your presentation. And then you can see don't use two tools at once. If you use several tools at the same time, your audience may feel that you are bursting yourself. You are bursting yourself, and you just are trying to look professional. They just you should use just a tool in appropriate time and use them with confidence and professionality. Professionally, it means while using them, you should have the confidence and professional. It means you shouldn't be shy or posing during while using these kind of items. And here's also a golden rule for you. A presentation feels because the tools. Your presentation is also a feeling. The devices can form that feeling. And let's talk about the presentation delivery. Your presentation delivery looks like this. And so the stages in the stage one includes introduction, the stage two is body, the stage three is conclusion. Your delivery should follow these parts and make sure you use body language handling tools during your presentation delivery. So I think we have many slides to cover, but our time is so limited. That's why I'm gonna skip uh, a few slides and I'm gonna refer to something new and and explain for you. So, the signposting language. The signposting language is the words and phrases that people use to tell the listener what has just happened and what is going to happen next. Signpost language guides um, the listeners through the presentation. As you can see here, signposting language can guide the listeners through the presentation. For example, you said, I'm going to present first of all, I'm going to present the cost of this product, and then I will put stress on the production process. After that, as you can see here, I'm using first of all, and then, and after that, such kind of signposting languages. And a good presenter will usually use a lot of signpost language. So it is a good idea to learn a few of the common phrases, e- even if you spend more time listening to presentations than giving them. Signpost language is usually fairly informal. as you can see here, is it is fairly informal. It is fair, and so it is relatively easy to understand. Here you can see the signposting phrases. For example, the topic and the subject or topic of my talk is, I'm going to talk about, my topic today is, my talk is concerned with overview, outline of the presentation. I'm going to divide this talk into 4 parts. There are a number of points I would like to make. Basically, briefly, I have 3 things to say. I would like to begin or start by, you can use such kind of phrases. And also you can see the finishing a section. That is all I have to say about. We looked at starting a section, giving examples also, the most signposting phrases you can use. So let's talk about the procedures and instructions when you're writing your presentation. A procedure is a series of steps followed in a single definite order to achieve a specified results. A procedure is generally organized as follows. Specific purpose and the scope, states what the presentation accomplishes, and the preliminary requirements. Also, warnings and steps. Gives a step-by-step series of actions to be carried in completing the procedure. Use a checklist for writing instructions. Use short sentence, short paragraphs. Arrange your points in logical order. Make your sentences specific. Use the imperative mood. Put the most important item in each sentence at the beginning. Say one thing in each sentence. So the next slide, as you can see here, the picture below shows how tomato ketchup is made. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features. This is a home task for you, dear students. You have to you have to summarize the information, the whole tomato ketchup production should be summarized, and by selecting and reporting the main features. And linking words are also super important. You can see the linking words that I used before. And then, first of all, subsequently, the first step is that. Finally, after that, at this point, such kind of linking words are super important in your presentation delivery.